what is the biggest challenge with matching up with San Diego State?
The thing about their program and the thing, I think maybe hopefully there's similarities with ours is they have things they're hanging their hats on, and their defense and their rebounding is, why they've won so many championships and why they've been so consistent. And so I think it starts with that, because if you can't answer the bell there, forget about everything else.
And then your three seniors are going to be playing in their final game. Maybe
Yeah.
just a thought on each.
Well, the final game at ExtraMile,
Yeah.
for sure. Not maybe. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, we had a great senior night thing for him last night, and it puts things in perspective as far as the guys that I got to coach for 3 years, the leadership that they brought, the character they brought, both on and off the court. They're all graduating. They represented our program so well. They were great teammates. And the cool thing is I can say that about all three of them, and they all did it in their own way. And, Naj does it with his flair and his style. Lucas is, a little more reserved, but a very thoughtful, deep thinker. Shave's really quiet, but a great leader in his own way. And so, proud to have coached these guys. I'm excited, for their journey in life, because I know they're going to be successful outside of basketball. Whatever they do, they're going to be fun to watch, and they'll be proud members, proud Broncos forever, because each one of them transferred here, and I think each one of them grew. They grew as men, they grew as basketball players, and as people, and I'm just really proud of their time here.
Obviously, winning the conference is going to be tough, but how do you look at? There's still a ton to play for.
Yeah, no doubt.
The importance of tomorrow's game obviously is still massive.
No doubt. These games are epic, and we've had a lot of great ones with this, us and San Diego State, and they a lot of great memories over the 13 years of going way back, to Coach Fisher and now Dutch, and the fans have seen some amazing performances in some of these games, on both sides. Some amazing finishes. They've been what you want to pay money to come see, that's what just the opportunity to compete in a college basketball atmosphere like we're going to have tomorrow, in a game with two high-level teams like we're going to have tomorrow. That's you don't need anymore. You really don't. And that's what you'll see tomorrow.
Marcus said having to sit and watch, with the struggles of the last game was one of the toughest moments of his career, maybe, just not being able to be out there and help.
Yeah, me and him both, right?
But with him, and then you had Tyson in foul trouble, Naj wasn't close to 100%. How different is the team tomorrow?
Well, we'll see. We don't make excuses, and that was it was tough not to have Mark. There's no sugarcoating it. We're a different team without him, and that's when you have a senior like that with that much experience, and you could say that about most teams. If you have one guy like that, you take him out of any lineup, and it has a huge impact. And that certainly makes a big difference for us.
You mentioned Shaver is a quiet leader, but definitely still a leader. So what does that leadership look like when he's on the
Well, he's a perfectionist, and that, he's a great shooter because of the way he's worked over the years, and he's a great example for our young guys of here's a guy in his last year, in his last games, and he's the guy that's logging the hours. We got a lot of guys that put a lot of hours in that gym shooting, and Marcus is right there at the top of the list every single summer, every single year, every single fall. He is a grinder and loves the game, and that's how guys get better. That's step one in the formula for player development, is guys that will willing to spend the time and the effort and the energy. So, that's just a perfect example to the young guys of, hey, there's no shortcuts, and there's no arriving at, okay, now I'm a great shooter, I don't have to go, now you adjust with the heavy minutes that he plays, all those kind of things. We're smart about it, but the bottom line, he's blue collar, and he's a self-made player as far as hours and hours and hours he's put into the game of basketball.
Aside from the obvious win tomorrow, where would you like to see your team grow against San Diego State?
Well, grow as far as last time we played them, or as far as,
However you would like to answer
yeah.
that.
I mean, we've, like I said, it goes back to the first question with Bob. You can't compete with them if you're not going to rebound with them. So we got to get, we got our hats handed to us in the last game, and if that happens, there's no chance.
How, after last game and knowing you have to rebound so much, how do you emphasize that in practice?
Well, you don't have, this time of year, you don't have a lot of practice time. It's just, and the bodies are banged up and stuff. So, all the things that you do now become a lot of mental stuff, and because you're not going to go out and, put the pads on and do the tackling drills right now. There's a foolishness that to that, but just there's a lot of things that we'll do and we'll try to do, and our guys are competitors. They bounce back from everything that they faced.
When you went back and looked at the film, was it, you mentioned maybe the guys were just running out of gas or a little tired. How much of it was like technique of trying to rebound versus just effort / tiredness / whatever else was happening?
I don't know. The part of it sometimes is matchups. Part of it is, sometimes doing your job, how effectively we do it, and then sometimes different teams have different strengths. And one of their strengths was rebounding, and we didn't play to our best, and they're good at it, and they exposed us there, and we have to be at our best to play against good rebounding teams.
You mentioned, not much practicing this time of year. How do you, when you see a team that maybe is a little tired, or you obviously want to be full strength, how do you balance that? And I guess what yesterday and today, and tomorrow, I guess, what kind of is the plan of how you're trying to balance
Yeah, you just, you're managing minutes, and I probably didn't, when I looked at those minutes in that game, I didn't do a good enough job subbing and keeping guys just even a little bit more. And that's hard when it's tight games. It is. And I think overall we've kind of done an A, we've done really well with that. And there's a few guys I probably should have given a little more rest. The guys got hurt too, and I rested them for 21 seconds. That's not, they probably need a little more than that. So
there's a good chance you're going to get 3, maybe more teams in the tournament this year from this league. How important is it for this league to win in the tournament?
Well, that Mark, it's kind of a, it's cut and dry, but it's not, because we had some bad breaks in some of those things. That San Diego State team, the year we canceled the NCAA tournament, if you would have told me we went to the Final Four, I would have been like, probably. If you had told me we went to the Elite Eight, I said, really good chance. And, they were as good as anybody. And, so, they throw out, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. And, those, that's a fact that is kind of grayish. Because you got to remember that year, too, Utah State was one of the best teams around. Those two teams, we could have had 2 Sweet 16 or beyond. So it's not as like, drastic. Well, they just are always so awful. A couple of years ago, Nevada goes to the Sweet 16. We've had some success. Now, it's, we need to have some more. We need to get these teams going and get more teams in, more opportunities. And so much of the NCAA tournament too can be draws, and you look back to the whole thing at Gonzaga started. Minnesota had those guys suspended. We got a lucky hop and capitalized on it, and then away it went. So sometimes it can be as simple as that. Sometimes it's just a matchup ends up, favorable instead of we got a matchup against a team last year that was a really, really tough one for us. And, I thought our guys played really hard, really good, and came back in the second half and did that. But there's other teams I think we would have matched up better with. So some of that is outside your control, but some of it we just got to go get it done. And this league is, you know, since I've been in it in 13 years, maybe you wouldn't say we were as elite, you know, because that San Diego State team, would have been a number one seed. But there's no, the league, I don't think, as far as my memory serves, from top to bottom has been this good. Where if we had to play it over again, who knows what order it goes in. I mean, you know, UNLV in New Mexico, 14-0 and what, 12-1 or something like that in preseason, and neither of them have a winning record in our league. I mean, that says something about the level.
That's what talking about. I mean, I know you guys don't like to look too far ahead, but this year in particular could be really tough in terms of what you're talking about the matchups, because there's all these teams that are going to be like between 7 and 11 seeds from power conferences that aren't really that much different than 2 seeds.
You're right.
And it's scary.
I saw that too. When I don't.
Scary thing you're looking at when you're
Well,
talking about matchups.
I don't glance. I mean, I only glanced at that once, and you know, I was like, whoa, look at some of the, you know.
Yeah.
But it happened last year, right? With Carolina, they were an 8. Is that right?
Right. You could play Carolina.
There's a lot. It seems like there's more
Yeah.
than that going on. But
Is that scary as a coach?
well,
when it comes to matchups, because those teams.
I mean, Dutch. You know, I think Dutch. I've been on the bubble. I'm not looking at any of that, or so-called, but you know, I don't know. You just feel like you are, but who knows if you really are, if you're not, or where you are. You just don't know. But I haven't. But he's right. That's a valid point. You know, now where it plays out, who knows, and who knows what happens in the last 2 weeks. And
Some scary teams, though.
oh my goodness, there's, you know, and it just seems like there's a lot of teams like that just pop in your mind that you're like going, whoo, those guys, if they were an 8 or 9 or a 10 or a 7 or whoo, there's good.
Arkansas.
Yeah. Oh, there's a lot of them. Kentucky and
Missouri.
Carolina.
Oklahoma State,
Yep.
Carolina, Duke.
Right.
Those are all going to be.
Wow.
Yeah.
yeah. That's future problems, but you know.
Last thing for me, when you look back at the, just maybe you could talk a little bit about that last play that San Diego State had with Butler. Do you typically call timeout in that situation? Do you let him go? Is it case by case? Do you try to get to the rim?
It's case by case, you know, and when it works, you're like, great, I made the right call. When it doesn't work, you're like, God, I wish I would have taken timeout. Or why did I take a timeout? You know, when you have veterans and you see, you know, we just had one of those, and you know, it didn't go the way I wanted. I wish I would have taken a timeout. I've had ones where it does go the way you want, and you're like, oh, I'm glad I didn't take a timeout. So depends, you know, it's a feel thing a lot of times, but I thought, I mean, didn't the timeout save them? Because didn't they throw the ball away or something? It kind of looked
Well,
like
they were about to inbound. And
yeah.
didn't
Oh, they called it before that. We were getting through the airport at the time, so we were scrambling. But what a play, you know. I mean, what 2 great plays to end that game. And I mean, how about this weekend of college basketball? It's crazy. It's like, you know, Tommy's game and that game and Florida State and Michigan State and who am I forgetting? There was some other craziness too. That
Iowa comeback.
Yeah, the Iowa comeback against Michigan State, and there was another one, right? There was another one that was amazing too. But you know, I mean, it's college basketball, and everybody, you know, it's in cycles a little bit that you see. There's the January push, and it's a grind. Then everyone kind of hits a wall, and some teams fade a little bit, and then now it's the horses can all see the barn, and everybody's sprinting. It leads to some amazing basketball and great basketball games. And like we said at the start, kind of there's just so many good teams. I mean, you know, Florida State's struggled mightily this year and come back and have the biggest comeback in ACC history, right? Isn't that what it was? And so it's that time of year. It's exciting. It's great, and we got a great atmosphere and 2 great teams, I think, and going to battle it out tomorrow. It's going to be fun.
You talked a lot about you don't have time in this league to sulk or worry about the last game. You have to move on, but you lose like you do in overtime, and the flight's delayed, and everyone's watching the other game while they're waiting. looking on phones and stuff, and then you find out at that point that, you know, it's going to be tough to win the league when that shot goes in. I mean, how much of a gut punch, I guess, was that part of it, and then just how quickly have you guys been easy or hard to turn the page?
Well, that's the true measure of champions and competitors is that ability to get up regardless of your circumstances, because sometimes it's the good circumstances. You got to get up and dust it off and get back to competing. And it's hard, but that's what separates great ones from, you know, average ones. And because, I mean, there's pain, there's suffering, and these guys, this has been a tough stretch. You know, we knew that going in, but when you go live it, it's really hard. You played, you know, at Colorado State, UNLV home, New Mexico home. Those were, UNLV, New Mexico game were great, emotional, tough games. Colorado State, same thing. And, you know, you go on the road to play a really good San Jose team in a tough environment for its own ways. And, you know, we knew that, you know, it wasn't anything you could tell. I mean, when you watch the film, we played 32 really, really good minutes. We really did. And that's this league, though. You can't play 8 so or bad minutes, because they weren't, you know, there were some bad possessions, but they weren't bad. You know, we weren't just turning it over for a dunk and all those kinds of things. That it was there, and they made some shots. So, and we missed a couple that if we make them, it's, you know, probably game over. It's just that fine of a line this year in the league. But yeah, we don't let our circumstances dictate our mentality. And it's easier said than done, and sometimes the more time you get to figure it out, the better you are and the better off you are, but we don't have that much time. So, you know, we just got to rely on our principles and who we are, and get back up ready to go again.